sometimes on the space station. I got Misha behind me, waking up too.
Early morning.
The other guys are still sleeping. I'm gonna close the door for this part. All the windows are closed. Let's open them and see where we are. Oh, like I suspected, we are now over water. I'll poke my head in here in the morning sometimes just to get a glimpse of outside, but then quickly, get to work on stuff.
I'm gonna make a cup of tea.
Let's see what we have. Cornflakes, no thank you. Coffee.
Let me see if I got any emails from my brother in space. See what I got today. Ooh, this is pretty interesting. This is what your toe looks like after a year in space. This is pretty disgusting. To stay in one position, you're constantly putting your toes underneath handrails and underneath things so you don't float away. The bottom of your feet turn into like baby feet, and the top of your feet go in the exactly the opposite direction. I was 6 minutes older, and now I'm 6 minutes and 3 milliseconds older. Because he's been traveling at this speed for 300 and nearly 65 days, time slows down for him, thanks to Albert Einstein and general relativity. So if anybody ever asks from now on, I'm 6 minutes and 3 milliseconds older.
You've been here a long time. Try to do stunts like this.
We have a lot of jobs on the space station. You know, the important stuff is the exploration, the science, but it's also engaging the public and giving them a understanding of what we do.
Hey, Mr. President, this is Chell. It's great to talk with you, sir.
And I tried to have a social engagement, a little bit different, I think, than people have done in the past.
They're in space. So awesome.
Station, this is CNN. How do you hear me?
We hear you loud and clear, loud and clear, loud and clear. Can you hear me?
What do you guys do for fun?
I watched Hot Tub Time Machine 2 a few weeks ago.
Can you flip? Can you dance?
Do some party tricks.
It's like I am an astronaut right now.
Happy Halloween.
Good evening, Yanni.
Hey, Mr. Kelly. Hi, Scott. Hello, Scott. What features are important on an astronaut's watch?
Congratulations to you. How are you feeling generally?
Yes, sir, I'm feeling great. Shouldn't be a problem getting to the end with enough energy and enthusiasm to complete the job.
Floating in zero-G looks like a lot of fun, but it's also critical. The kinds of experiments that can be performed in the International Space Station simply can't be performed on the ground. Materials, tissues, hardware, all behave in different ways in zero-G.
There we go. Actually, there are scientists that are interested in the behavior of these.
Researchers are investigating convection. They're investigating biomedical studies. They're investigating how plants grow in zero-G.
The science is certainly important, right? I mean, we learn a lot about life on Earth from the studies we do in space. When we go on to Mars someday with humans, that's going to be incredibly challenging. And we're going to have to learn a lot more about ourselves. We're going to have to learn a lot more about engineering and physics and propulsion systems and also physiology. And what we get out of that is, you know, the advancement of the human race.
All astronauts on the space station are in some senses living scientific experiments. But Mark and Scott Kelly, genetically identical twins who are both astronauts, are a unique kind of experiment.
Insert the needle perpendicular to the skin in the deltoid region in a short, quick movement.
Okay.
I wouldn't normally do this, but the fact that my brother's not the only one that can give himself a shot. All right, one flu shot. Done. And all for NASA science.
I just did my saliva samples. I don't know how many times I've done this.
I gotta stick this in my mouth for like a few minutes. I just do it because that's what they asked me to do.
Now I gotta go scan them in the barcode reader. Saliva bag number 2.
Doing some blood draws. Probably take 30 tubes of blood from me this morning.
We do the same thing with blood and, hate to say it, but feces.
Are we doing blood first?
Yes. Okay, squeeze just a couple times again. That's plenty. Just like we've done it before.
You know, I've done, I don't know how many CAT scans, MRIs, bone scans of various types, the effects of radiation on Mark and I on a genetic level. We have, you know, recently discovered a phenomenon with people's vision and swelling of the optic nerve, and that's something that we're very hard at work investigating.
So what are we looking at there on my eyeball?
Is your optic nerve in the back of your eye? Looks good.
As long as it looks better than my brother's eye. This is probably, after a year in space, is probably all shriveled up and decaying. Right?
Yeah.
And again, so far we're looking good in this match.
Misha thinks he's back on Earth. He's dreaming about sitting on a bench.
Living for a year without gravity, just sitting on something is something you really miss. You're just floating. On one hand, it's fun, especially in the beginning. On the other hand, it gets a little old. Before he left, he didn't have a dining room table in his house. He had a new house, he had no dining room table. He bought a dining room table while he was in space, so he could sit down at the table and have something to eat, where he didn't have to float.
Nelson, come here. Nelson. Sit.
Well, you know, he's only interacted with a handful of people. For the last few months, he's just been with 5 other individuals on the space station. So that's all gonna change. You know, the physical stuff will be somewhat challenging. There's bone mass and muscle mass that he will have lost in space. Might have some difficulty walking. For a year, he probably hasn't slept very well. But I would suspect that the biggest change is not going to be living according to a line on a schedule running across the screen of a laptop. Every 10 minutes of your life is somewhat regulated. And then you get back from space, and yeah, you'll generally have a schedule, but it's not a moving line that you're trying to keep up with. You know, I've flown 4 missions, but they're all relatively short, where I've flown 54 days in space. So he's hovering around 10 times the amount. Today, I know where he said this has been an incredible experience. I think he's also ready for the experience to come to an end.
You know, after being in space for a whole year, you would think I would get tired of taking pictures of the Earth, but I actually don't. I'm coming down to the time where I'm not gonna be seeing this anymore. I don't feel like I'm gonna miss it. I probably won't miss it right away, but I know I'll miss it eventually. Anyway, enjoyed looking at the Earth. Definitely gained a new perspective on it by spending so much time looking out at it. Not only on the environment, but just what goes on down there in general. You definitely get a sense of, I guess, more of a sense of empathy for things when you're not feeling completely a part of it, separate in a way, especially for so long.